Thinking of running a mastermind? Stay tuned, because in this video, we're going to talk about the little known reasons why masterminds are not just group coaching or other types of group coaching in a dress. We will cover everything you need to know to successfully run these amazing programs in your own coaching business. Be sure to like and subscribe, because this is the first in our Masterminds Legally for Coaches series, and we're going to cover everything from what to worry about in group containers to what to be on the lookout for when you bring people in person for those community and retreat experiences. All right, at some point in every coach's journey, or most coaches' journey, they decide that the value of the community that they can bring together is of such value that it warrants being a standalone program. I know I, for one, after being in the coaching industry for 10 plus years, in and around coaches, serving coaches, that I love to be in a mastermind myself. And with these programs costing typically in the 5-figure range, they can be a huge improvement to a coach's bottom line, but there are some moving parts that we have to be aware of to make sure that you get all of the value of that money, and so do your participants. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know that I always talk about the fact that unhappy clients are the main source of legal drama in your business. And so with masterminds, like any other coaching program, we want to make sure that we are actually delivering on the promises of your program. So when it comes to masterminds, the biggest mistake that I see coaches making is that they are treating a mastermind like group coaching in different clothes. And while it's true that they may have some things in common, like the fact that there are some level of access to you and some access to your team, and of course access to the clients amongst each other, as well as maybe even some teaching material, there are significant differences due to the way that masterminds are usually structured that add on a couple of layers of exposure and risk for a coach. Now, these are never insurmountable. We just want to know about them in advance. So let's cover those right now. Typically, with group coaching, you are offering these programs in a cohort setting, meaning that all the people in that group start at the same time and they end at the same time. This allows relationships to develop, but the reason for it is not directly. Instead, it's an indirect result of the fact that most group coaching programs are offering or promising a particular transformation within a particular period of time. This makes it a lot different from a mastermind, because typically masterminds are focused on the promise of community and support and accountability and all of those things that happen when people who are in the same stage of whatever they're going through get together. Instead, the program promise of a mastermind is going to be somewhat secondary, if there is one at all. And so when we are bringing people together and it is not for the purpose of a particular coaching outcome, which is true of masterminds, we need to be able to emphasize the value of community. But the community is somewhat out of the coach's control. We don't know if people are going to show up, if they're going to be the right people, if they're going to act right once they're there, and if the people are just going to gel. So the pricing of masterminds really has to address that risk accordingly, because sometimes groups just fall apart, and I've personally seen it happen. So the pricing is a big component. And even though masterminds are different than group coaching, if you go 2 videos back, I tell you, you need to be charging more for groups for a variety of reasons that you're probably not thinking about when you set the price. That is equally true for masterminds. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot that's out of your control that if you have to start exerting influence on that is going to cost you. It could be in money, but more often in morale and energy. And we need to make sure you're compensated for that. Now, the other difference from a group coaching program is that masterminds more often, but not always, have rolling enrollment, which means that your participants are there for the community, but the community is sometimes changing. We want to make sure that that's clear to them when you're selling the program, because again, we're not focused on that transformation that's going to happen no matter who's there. We're focused on relationships and camaraderie, and having an understanding if this is a revolving door or not is going to be a big deal. By contrast, if you do have cohort-based masterminds, that run for 6 months or a year with the same people and no new entrants, that can help solve that problem as well, but it does increase the likelihood that if some or a few people drop out, it could be a big blow to your revenue and your annual plan and your coaching business. Again, none of this is insurmountable. I just want to bring it to your attention that there is definitely more to running a mastermind versus a group coaching program where you're pretty much in control of the time, the community, and the content. One last thing before we go on today's topic is that masterminds also have often some type of in-person component. And there's a few ways that this can show up. So let me walk you through that. One is that sometimes your mastermind has an in-person retreat or more. I've been in some that have 4 retreats a year. Sometimes your mastermind is really nothing except for the retreat. And I don't mean nothing like that it's not valuable. I just mean that the retreat itself is the time where you're going to come together and put your heads together in mastermind. It could also be that your mastermind group gets special invitations to other live events you might run. So that might be group VIP days. That may be an annual live event that you do for a broader audience. And so you have to be thinking about what needs to go into your planning when you're going to be bringing people in person, especially because you don't want to be in this situation where you offer an in-person component and a person that cannot make it work for whatever reason, or even tries to make it work and ends up getting delays or travel cancellations or things like that, is saying, hey, you didn't deliver this portion of the program. I'm entitled to at least a partial refund. So we want to be very careful about how we structure whether that in-person event is the offer or is just a bonus to the offer. And we want to be sure that as people are traveling, making reservations, and showing up and dealing with each other in person, that you're not on the hook for the things that can go wrong there, like delays, like illness, like lost property, injury, you name it. I have been in a mastermind setting where someone claimed that a Rolex watch was stolen, and the retreat host really didn't have the things in place to be able to trigger an insurance policy at the venue or her own. So don't worry though, because in this series, not only are we going to be covering the legal side of retreats, which is in our very next video that no one's really talking about, but we're also going to, as always, look through pricing and packaging trends, as well as the exact legal checklist of documents that you need, which in this case goes well beyond just a client agreement. If you liked this video, please hit that like button to let the rest of the world know and help other coaches find this too. Also, when you subscribe, you'll get notified when our next video comes out. And again, our next video is all about the legal side of coaching retreats that happen in person. So you don't want to miss it.